I'm here again with Phil McConkey, and Phil, again, cannot thank you enough for your time. I'd be, really dropping the ball if I didn't ask you a little bit about your football career. I mean, age 27, you go join the New York Giants. What was that like? What drove you? Did you feel like you had a chance, or did it go back to your parents and what they were telling you that you can do everything?
27 years old, barely 160 pounds, and I hadn't played football in 5 years. I had no chance. I had no chance. One of the first people I called was Steve Belichick, Bill Belichick's father, who was an assistant at Navy for a long time. So he came out and he timed me, and he called Bill, who was going into his first year as defensive coordinator with the Giants, and it was Parcells' first year as a head coach. And I got there and I knew one speed, and that was all out, all day, every day. And I think it was my ability to catch punts and hurricanes that caught their eye. Defensive-minded coaches, so that gave me an opportunity, and I busted through, and it was a lot of work. When I look back too, people ask me, well, what were you going to do if it didn't work out? I go, at the time, I had no other plans. I never spent a scintilla of thought or energy on what I was going to do if it didn't work out. Because to overcome these incredible obstacles, I needed every scintilla of energy I could muster to overcome the hurdles and the obstacles that I was facing.
Now, Phil, I have to ask you one thing. I want you to hold up that ring right there. That is the Super Bowl ring. And how many people do you know that have been in politics, in football, in the Navy, that are now doing investment banking? I mean, your career is one of the most amazing careers, and it just goes to show what you can do if you just get out there and you fight every day.
59 years old. I've been an extremely competitive person my whole life, and I continue to be that way. In my mind, I'm a skinny little kid from the west side of Buffalo, and that's what I think about every day when I wake up. What happened in the past has no bearing on today and tomorrow, except from the experiences, and you become a lot wiser, I think. So I want to compete and lay it all on the line every single day, feel like I've got a chip on my shoulder still. And that's a great motivator.
And Phil, there's been a lot of discussion recently about the whole concussion protocol. And I'm not talking about just in the NFL. I'm talking about in grade schools right now. My son's actually had 2 this year. But what are your thoughts on it, and how serious of a situation is it?
I think there's a lot more that they don't know than they do know. But the talk of eliminating the game of football scares me, because I think the good that comes out of it, what it teaches young people, far outweigh some of the negatives. And I don't want to get to a society where we're keeping people in bubbles.
Right.
I have a 13-year-old daughter, and my heart has been jumping for the last 13 years, when she started to walk and everything. And even to this day, you get nervous about your child. And I've got my wife at least to balance me, to remind me, you have to let this child live. This life we're in, there's no guarantees. Nothing is protected forever. And you have to live and experience things. The exhilaration, the experience of playing football, I just don't know what my life would be without it. If after a concussion as a little boy, my parents said no, there would be a huge void in my life that is irreplaceable. So I think there's a lot they need to do, a lot more they need to study. I'm still asked to join lawsuits against the NFL. And I had an incredibly great experience. The New York Giants, and Ronnie Barnes, the head trainer, who's still the head trainer of the Giants, took incredible care of me and us. And I remember Ronnie, one of the only times he would stand up to Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells could be extremely intimidating, but when someone suffered a head injury or Ronnie thought there was something not right, he would take that helmet away, and Parcells would come up just to make sure. And he would look at Ronnie, and that was the one time Parcells would back down. We had great care. They weren't throwing us back in the game. We weren't just a piece of meat for them. And I played for 3 other teams in the NFL too. Not as long as the Giants. I know the Giants much better, but I never felt that way. So to say that they didn't care or they knew and for profit they're going to throw guys back, this is a great commodity. Why would you want to continue to harm your greatest commodities. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'll tell you, I think you've already answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were at Annapolis today or this spring and you were giving the commencement speech, what would you say to young people graduating?
I would tell them that they are capable of much, much more than they even dream of. That there is no limit to the upside of what they can accomplish in life, as long as they remember teamwork and leadership.
Again, I'm here with Phil McConkey, president of Academy Securities and Super Bowl winner with the New York Giants. Phil, cannot thank you enough. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Skitty.